So this is my annotation video for the book, The Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Overall, this book was, I really enjoyed it. Starting off from speaking about how he had brain problems as a child and had to have surgery as a kid. I can connect to that because I kind of had the same thing of having heart surgery when I was born, pretty close to birth. So overall, as the book begins, I wrote in here, it was pretty upsetting to see how he was treated in his school. How being the outcast, black sheep, as you could say, in his school, they weren't really very nice to him. I wrote here that I feel really bad for him, and how his confidence could have easily been placed out the door. And that could also add on to his part of not believing in himself in the times that he has throughout his high school and academic career. I put down for my connection here that this kid doesn't really have much to believe in himself in the beginning. He understands why people pick on him and doesn't really stand up for himself. I can connect with that with like sporting events. You have those times where you don't really get as much play time, and you understand that, and instead of like standing up, I kind of find that time of like understanding, and instead of like pushing myself to work harder and earn that spot. And you can find that if he read the on-course guide that I have right here, he could find that part in the self-defeating habit patterns, and he can take those steps to work on better believing himself. As it goes on in him transitioning schools, he kind of sees himself as an outcast. I have it here that later on it's really sad that he doesn't have that friendship he had since he had as a child. Losing that from his prior home and then moving into like the school of white kids and him being the outcast of being an Indian. You really don't have, you have those like stereotypes in the back of your head and in this school for him to get used to. For the first day in here, having the conversation with Penelope and her asking how he was or where he was from and not really connecting with him as he would hope. It really didn't give him that connection, and it really shows those stereotypes that they have. So I connected it here that he's getting pushed around as an Indian. He's getting labeled as a person instead of from the outside instead of what he has on the inside. And I kind of had that in high school where I was being stereotyped as an athlete. So teachers were pushing me, giving me stricter outlines when it came to work and scheduling based on other things where they had to be stricter on me to keep me in this sports, or know that most athletes have the stereotype of not really getting schoolwork, and that was kind of upsetting for me because I understood that school, in order to play sports, you need to do school. So schoolwork was the first of my priority in my life, and he could find in this on-course book that you could find that in accepting personal priority of believing in yourself, trying to get through and understand stereotype threats of how they may affect your learning, and how to work through that. As it goes through the book, I really love the way that it moves into hope. At the end, it goes through, and the last annotation I had in here was, I hoped and prayed that they would someday forgive me for leaving them. I hoped and prayed that I would someday forgive myself for leaving them. It's that word of hope that started off the book of the professor telling him that in order to leave, not many people have hope in this book. Not many people in the res have hope. You need to move outside, and that was his main reason for leaving. For the kids having no motivation in the school system, as the parents becoming alcoholics, knowing that they don't really have anything other than just staying in the res, so they decide to be drunks. As I wrote in the annotation, that there's a lot of drinking in here. Most of the deaths going on throughout the book is through drunk people. So I find in here that this kid goes through a time where his motivation is out the door. He goes through his grandmother's death, his dad's friend Eugene's death, that he doesn't feel motivated to go to school. He goes through a time where the teacher says that, hey, welcome back. It's like you've been missing for so long. And that was the kind of moment where he realized that, like, he didn't really have a lot of motivation. And I could find this in my life events where I've been through events or sports and then have a lot of homework that's piling up. And I just feel like I just want to sit around. I don't really want to do anything. And it's a struggle to find motivation. And I can find in this on-course book that it's helpful to set goals, and then through those goals you can get through to getting motivated to at work later on after college, or right now choosing a career that motivates you, moving through that. So overall, this book, I really like the way that it shows that hope can move throughout your life, and just changing a small factor in your life or the community around you can really change the outcome later on in the path you take.